goes down to one simple thing. Does Dale Jr. have a car where he can win? Absolutely. Now, you can't say that every week when it comes to when you're not looking at a speedway race. That's a much more difficult thing to predict because you just don't know. Even when you're looking at practice numbers, on the speed chart, you've got to pay attention to lap averages, the 10-lap averages, and rarely do you see a driver. You do a couple times a year, but rarely do you see a driver that just is locked in all weekend long on the speed charts and qualifying and ends up translating all the way to the race. Usually there's so many different factors involved that it's really hard to put a prediction out there. You can usually get it in without a top 5, and my prediction rate is decent. But when it comes to Daytona, and you can do this too depending on the car. When it comes to Daytona, it really is straight up. Does Dale Jr. have the car does he have a car to win? He absolutely has a car that he can win with this weekend. Now, I couldn't say that for the first half of last season. We know what happened. Even though he won one of the duels last year, that car was not right in the 500. And I still remember watching last year's Daytona 500, and it wasn't right up until he wrecked all by himself that he began making moves. He could not go anywhere in that pack. And he began to side draft and work his way through and started driving aggressively about midway, and that's when he got himself into trouble. The same thing that went and bit Jimmy Johnson in the butt. Now, normally I wouldn't do the podcast until after all the practice is done, and we still do have I'm recording this on Saturday morning. We still do have a couple of practice sessions today, but because it's Daytona, I feel like I've gathered enough information to where I can go and make a worthwhile prediction. The car is really fast, and Dale Jr. is driving really smart, and he's practicing really hard. He ran both the practices yesterday, and you can't pay attention to the speed chart because it doesn't make any difference at Daytona. Even the lap averages don't. The only thing that really matters is Dale Jr.'s attitude when he does the interviews, what he's tweeting about, and how the car looks on the track. And the car looks really, really good. He's been leading in most of the practices. He's dropped back a couple times in past cars in the practice. It's clear that there's not any handling issues with the car. And more importantly, he likes the car. He likes the car a lot. And you couldn't say that last year. You couldn't say that in the 500. You couldn't say that in the July race. And you certainly couldn't say that in that first race at Talladega where he wrecked again. There was a problem with the car. And I do believe that there was probably something a little bit wrong with Junior as well, because he was not, feeling well, even though his concussion was based off that wreck that took place at Michigan. But be that as it may, I still don't think Junior was at 100% health. But the car looks really, really good this weekend. What is going to be crucial is he going to be able to keep it up front and keep the wheels under the car? And this is where the NASCAR changes are really going to benefit Dale Jr. this weekend in the 500. Because it's going to provide, regardless of the way the cautions fall, it's going to provide at least 2 opportunities to stop, catch their breath, make any adjustments on the car that they need, right? And potentially, if he gets mired back in the pack, an opportunity to play out some strategy to get himself back up to the front and keep it there. Because the way this race is going to play out, Dale Jr. starting on the front row, I think he's going to have his work cut out for him in keeping the lead right away. Chase Elliott has a really, really fast race car, and while he was driving stupid for the first half of that duel on Thursday, he obviously realized he was driving stupid and changed his tune and ended up winning that race. Because the first half of the race, I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if the car was off. I don't know if they fixed it on pit road, but he was making some really, really incredibly stupid moves in that first duel. And Chase ended up basically flipping the switch and it looked like Dale Jr., the way he was driving the car at the end of that race. So if Dale Jr. doesn't grab the lead right away, I think we're going to go through the stages of the race, meaning we'll get through the first handful of laps. People will kind of be jockeying to see where their car is for position. Things will calm down. They'll probably heat back up again for stage 1. And then we're going to go through that whole cycle again. And I believe the Dale Jr. strategy is going to keep that car up front. And if that means he's running in the top 2 or 3, that's fine. I think he'll try to keep it at the lead. And really, it's just going to come down to those last handful of laps. If he's sitting there up front with a handful of laps to go, that's, the obvious place where we want him to be. However, I will say this, that unlike, and it looks like it's different this year because every year the track changes. And so from 14, 15, and 16, from when he won the 500 to last year, it was 14. Because I got to go back a couple years to when he won the 500 back in 14. But if you were in the lead, you were in the catbird seat. That seems to be changing. Dale Jr. does a great job at blocking. It's going to be a team effort between him and TJ Majors this weekend, especially just letting Junior know which line is moving where. But it's pretty clear that the track is changing to the point where, a lot like Talladega, that it's getting closer to you wanting to be running second or third on those final few laps and not the lead. If I had my choice, I'd rather have Dale Jr. up front and not second or third trying to battle for the win. But it looks like now the track is aged enough and it's slick enough where those drivers sitting back second, third, and even fourth can get a jump on the guy in the lead if he gets out there too far. So, Dale Jr. has a chance to win. I'm calling him, and my prediction is he will win on Sunday. I think we are looking at a renewed Dale Earnhardt Jr. I think we are looking at a relaxed Dale Earnhardt Jr. I know we're looking at a healthy Dale Earnhardt Jr. And I think we're looking at a Dale Earnhardt Jr. that is motivated in the fact that he knows his time is running out to get himself a championship, but he also knows there's not a lot of pressure there either, and I think that helps. It's not like he's under pressure with the contract. It's not like he's under pressure health-wise. He's won the 500 twice before. He wants to win it again. And this Dale Jr. that we have right now is one where I think he's poised for a lot of success. He's going to have to earn it on Sunday. There is no doubt. Those drivers are hungry for it. I think it pisses them off when he leads the majority of the race. They're getting aggressive. You got guys like Ryan Blaney out there that are young and dumb and willing to push the envelope, which in turn is going to force Junior to have to drive more aggressively. But if the team, the pit road crew can stay on their game, if they can take advantage of the stages, if they can keep the car up front, and that communication between Dale Jr. and TJ Majors is as spot on as it normally is, I think there is a really, really good opportunity, and I believe that Dale Jr. will win on Sunday his third Daytona 500. So that is your Daytona 500 race preview, Dale Jr. podcast. Thank you so much for downloading it. So a couple of items of note. Again, subscribe on iTunes if you can, and you can subscribe on all the different places where you can find it. Podbean, Spreaker, and Stitcher. Drop me an email, talkshownerd@gmail.com. I will be adding audio. Hopefully some guests to the podcast this year as well, and in an attempt to expand it a bit. For the first podcast of the season, I really just kind of wanted to just put it all out there. But we will be adding other elements to the podcast. When can you expect the podcast to be up and downloaded? My usual line of thinking is that after final practice, sometime after final practice, within 5 hours of the race starting. But it turns out that the podcast is usually always posted at least the day before the race. So if it's a Saturday race and the final practice is on Friday, it'll most certainly be up by Saturday morning. But if it's a Sunday race, you can expect the podcast will be up if final practice took place on Saturday shortly after practice, usually within a few hours. But the easy thing for you to do is to just subscribe. That way you don't ever miss it. So have yourself a great Daytona 500. I'm going to watch the Xfinity race later on this afternoon. Looking forward to that. If the truck race was any indication, we're in for a really good Xfinity race today. Looking forward to seeing how Junior Motorsports ends up performing and how the stage racing plays out in the Xfinity race. We'll be back at it next week to preview Atlanta and kind of the official start of the NASCAR season. Speed Weeks is always such a blur, and Daytona is always such a gamble. It's really tough to get a gauge on how the team is doing until we get to Atlanta. So that's something that I'm looking forward to, and hopefully you're looking forward to it as well. So enjoy your Daytona 500. We'll talk to you again next week, and until then, go Junior.
My Nerd World.
And finally, one of the most unusual pre-race prayers you will ever hear.
Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight for all your blessings. You said in all things give thanks. So we want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you've brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. And most of all, we thank you for Rouse and Yates partnering to give us the power that we see before us tonight. Thank you for Jim Performance Technology and the RO7 engines. Thank you for Sunoco Racing Fuel and Goodyear tires that bring performance and power to the track. Boogity, 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 amen. Boogity, 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 amen. That's the drivers unusual tonight. Boogity, 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 amen. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa. My two children, Eli and Emma, or as we like to call them, the little E's. Lord, I pray you bless the drivers unusual tonight. May they put on a performance worthy of this great track. In Jesus' name, boogity, 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 amen. Boogity, 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 amen. Boogity, 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 amen. Bless the drivers unusual tonight. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife. Boogity, 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 amen. Boogity, 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 amen. Bless the drivers unusual tonight. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife.
My Nerd World.